In this Gulf of Mexico example, we have signal content up to around 60 Hz. When you animate through a tuning cube from low to high frequency, the image does not remain static. There is frequency-dependent, spatially variant brightening and dimming. This is controlled by the tuning associated with the architecture and reflection strength of the subsurface rock mass. There are several important takeaways related to this. First of all, there is significantly more information in the decomposed data than there is in a single full bandwidth amplitude extraction. Secondly, when animating through a tuning cube from low to high frequency, amplitude contours move from thick towards thin. And thirdly, tuning out is just as important as tuning in. The goal is not to find the brightest amplitude. The goal is to leverage the available contrast, which may come from anomalies that are brighter than the background at some frequencies and dimmer than the background at other frequencies. Summing such amplitude content across frequencies is destructive to the imaging of geologic details. It collapses useful frequency-dependent information into a single smeared display. For example, if something tunes in at lower frequencies and tunes out at higher frequencies, summing across that tuning transition will destroy the anomaly. This is analogous to what we see in the AVO world, where if you have the case of one polarity at near offset and the opposite polarity at far offset, if you stack the full angle range, you will destroy the AVO anomaly. Let's examine some of this behavior in the Gulf of Mexico example. The main trunk channel in the upper left appears fairly homogeneous at low frequencies. As you animate from lower to higher frequency, a notch develops in the thickest portions and moves towards the outside edge. A similar movement of contours is seen in other parts of the channelization, and also at the point bar, where once again the notch moves from the thicker center to the thinner outer edges. This thickness information is not available in the full bandwidth extraction. Next, let's look at this north-south oriented channel. In the full bandwidth case, it is very poorly imaged. When we go back to the tuning cube, we see that the channel tunes in at the low frequencies in the very north end, and progressively tunes towards the south at higher frequencies. By the time you get to the highest frequencies, it tunes out in the north, where you've actually moved past the first spectral maximum and into a spectral notch. From this movement of contours, you can say that this north-south channel is thinning from north towards south. In comparison, a full bandwidth map does not image this channel very clearly. It has destroyed the tuning anomaly. By summing together a bandwidth over which the feature of interest both tunes in and tunes out, you are left with an amplitude level that does not stand out from the background. Last but not least, let's look at the east-west fault located in the bottom right of the map area. This fault is imaged quite poorly by the full bandwidth amplitude. It is much more clearly imaged in the tuning cube. The fault itself is not tuning in and tuning out. It is the reflective package that surrounds the fault that is tuning in and tuning out. On the east side, the reflective package tunes in and exposes the fault at lower frequencies. On the west side, the reflective package tunes in and exposes the fault at higher frequencies. Summing together the entire signal bandwidth, which is an even split of tuning in and tuning out, destroys the tuning anomaly. You are left with an amplitude level that does not allow the fault to stand out from the background. Worth mentioning that RGB blending can be effective for coarsely revealing such tuning anomalies. It doesn't take the place of seeing the full frequency range, but does expose three distinct positions along the frequency axis. Take, for example, 14, 24, and 34 Hz. By blending these three frequencies from low to high using red, green, and blue, you see the north-south channel show up in a reddish hue in the north and progressively change through yellow and to blue towards the south. A nice indication of thinning towards the south. Notice also that the main trunk channels are more reddish, richer in lower frequencies towards the channel axes, indicating a thicker center. Also, note how the tuning characteristics around the east-west fault show up in the blend and reveal the fault disturbance. When characterizing a zone of interest, take advantage of the tuning information. Open up the frequency dimension and leverage the morphology and heterogeneity that gets exposed when you do so.